Hi, everybody. Welcome to our candidate panel forum tonight. Maryland Forward Party is proud to co-host this event tonight with the National Forward Party's Committee for Women. We're excited to have an amazing lineup of candidates from across the state of Maryland tonight, running for many different offices and different levels of government. Tonight should be an incredibly engaging night. We're going to be looking at key issues that are relevant at different scales and across the entire state. And we're going to hear how our endorsed candidates are addressing these issues or thinking about these issues right now. My name is Bienenfeld. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Maryland Forward Party. As just a high-level introduction, for those of you not familiar with Forward Party, we are a new and emerging political party for independent-minded thinkers. We have been growing for the last 3.5 or 4 years. And in Maryland, we now have teams in about 7 different counties, and across the country, we're now in 41 states where we have local teams on the ground organizing and developing infrastructure for this new type of political movement. In Maryland, we do not yet have ballot access. And so in the meantime, we are aligning with candidates who we feel align with our core values. And that includes a community up approach to problem solving, concentration on collaboration, and also a commitment to protecting the rights of all people. From that baseline, political spectrum doesn't matter for us as long as we can kind of create a baseline from those core values. And we believe that the candidates joining us tonight exemplify those core values. As we go through the evening tonight, we are pleased to have Kayla Burby, our national political director from the National Forward Party, joining us, and she will be our moderator throughout the evening. Our agenda is pretty simple tonight. We're going to allow all of our candidates to introduce themselves in just a short while. And then we're going to spend a lot of time focusing on some key questions that we believe are relevant to Maryland voters right now. We're going to try to save some time throughout the course of the evening for questions and discussion with audience members. So if you have thoughts or questions, please jot those down throughout the course of the evening, and we will try to have time towards the end. And then we'll end with a couple of closing remarks. For us, a major goal of tonight is helping to connect our extended supporter network with these great candidates. The primaries are coming up on June 23rd. And it's really important that we are able to support our candidates as much as we are able to the next several weeks here. They're all working incredibly hard out there. Many of these candidates are working on grassroots campaigns and working really, really hard in their communities right now. So we're lucky to have them and lucky to hear from them tonight. Our panel discussion format is going to be pretty simple. We've drafted these 10 questions. Each question is going to have groups of 3 or 4 candidates kind of responding to those questions. And then we're going to keep responses to about roughly 30 seconds just to kind of moderate our time throughout the evening and save time for some Q&A at the end. We will allow a virtual ticket for each of our candidates to use throughout the evening. That can be used to either extend their time that they're discussing by 30 seconds, or if they have not been selected for a certain question but would like to participate in that question, they can also utilize that ticket at that point and use 30 seconds of time. Any questions before we get started? I see a hand up. Carol? Carol, you might be muted. Let's see if, and I don't think I can unmute you. Carol, if you don't mind writing your question in the chat, we've got a couple of team members on the call with us, and they can answer questions for us in the chat as well as we go. Okay, and with that, I will turn it over to Kayla.
Thanks, PJ. I'm so glad to be here tonight. I'm Kayla Barabee. I'm the National Political Director with Forward. And as a part of all of the work that I do, a huge focus, of course, is our candidate recruitment, endorsements, and support up and down the ballot and all over the country. And so admittedly, I don't get to spend a ton of time with our state and local level candidates. It's something I'm really passionate about, especially having women run for office. So this really is such a treat to be able to join you all tonight. We're going to go ahead and kick off our candidate introductions. And I apologize, the way that my screen is, this is very small. So I am just going to go off of the list that I have. So it might be a little bit out of order. Let's start with Michelle Garcia. Michelle is running for Prince George's County Council seat, District 1.
And Michelle was unfortunately unable to join tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't note that on my list. That's my fault.
Yeah, so right now she had a family emergency tonight, but sends her best and regards, and we can connect you with her afterwards as well if anybody's interested.
All right, let's kick it to Dr. Jennifer Rios. She is running for Prince George's County Council at Large.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Maryland Forward Party, for all that you have done to endorse every one of these candidates here. And if they're on this, it's because they want to move Maryland forward. So thank you so much for all your hard work and for your time to the board of directors who has put in to interview every one of us. My name is Dr. Jennifer Rios, and I reside in District 6 in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, District 25 at the state level. And I am running for county council as a service-disabled veteran, U.S. Army combat veteran at that for 13 years, airborne special ops, and a serial business entrepreneur. I have, created the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Prince George's County. I serve on 9 different board of director seats. I am a Maryland commissioner for Governor Westmore for the Latin Affairs. So I have reached out to every one of these counties in the state of Maryland to reach out to the communities to see what are their needs and how we can improve the state overall. I have a background in building economic development and infrastructure here in Prince George's County. I created the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce from my own funds, personal funds and business funds, which has taken a lot of time and effort to build something from scratch, but we have made great strides. I have 3 pillars in the chamber that we have been focused on over the past 3 years, which is students, employees, and businesses. I look forward to helping this county grow and improving the overall infrastructure, economic development, and public safety. Thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate this opportunity.
Excellent. Such an impressive background. All right, Dr. Laura Gilchrest. Laura is running for Prince George's County Council at Large as well. I know she was having some technical issues at the top of the call, so maybe we'll pause there for a minute and we can come back. All right, Megan Outten, running for, and forgive me, I'm sitting here in Virginia. I'm going to mispronounce this county name.
Wicomico County.
There we go.
Thank you, Kayla. Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Outten. I am a lifelong Wicomico County resident, former Salisbury City Councilman, and I'm currently running for Wicomico County Council District 7 on Maryland's Lower Eastern Shore. So for almost the past 10 years, I have worked in the energy industry, mostly working to move forward specific clean energy projects and policies that I think are going to support our Maryland communities. So throughout my career, whether it's been in the local government or my public policy scene or community advocacy, the core of my work has always been focused on bringing people together, just because I I personally believe that if we're going to solve the problems facing our county, we need to work together. Too many families right now are struggling with rising costs, whether that be housing, childcare, just the everyday necessities. They're feeling more and more disconnected from the decisions that are affecting them, and we need leaders that are going to bring their voices to the table. So I personally believe that government works best when it listens first. It's going to put its people ahead of the politics and the partisanship, and just gives everyday residents a real voice in shaping their community.
Excellent. Thank you, Megan. All right, up next, Heidi Schmidt, running for House of Delegates District 31 in Anne Arundel County.
Hi, thank you so much for including me. I am truly honored to have the endorsement of the Forward Party. I'm a mom, I'm a small business owner and a community leader here in Pasadena, and I'm running to represent District 31 because communities deserve leadership that listens, leads with integrity, and puts people over politics. I was born and raised in Vermont. I was the first in my family to go to college, so I know what good government looks like and how government can be a force for good in people's lives. I studied political science. My career encompasses nonprofit communications and marketing over the past 20 years. And I've spent that time working for large businesses, small businesses. And in 2020, I launched my own marketing agency to help small and mid-sized, mostly women-owned businesses show up online with clarity and confidence. So I know what it's like to build something from the ground up and how frustrating it can be when we feel like government policies ignore the realities that small businesses and working families face. I've also served on the board of the Pasadena Business Association, the Junior League of Annapolis, and I represent Anne Arundel, District 31 on the Anne Arundel County Democratic Central Committee, and I serve on the Anne Arundel County Commission for Women. So I believe that showing up matters, showing up in the community for the community, and I'm really excited to be running alongside some just incredible other candidates. So thank you so much for having me.
Excellent. Thank you, Heidi. All right, up next, Jenn Alcorn, running for Frederick County Council District 1.
Hi, everyone. Same echoing of thank you for everything the Forward Party is doing. Thank you for endorsing and all the support that you've been giving. It's been amazing. So I'm super grateful for that. I am running for County Council in District 1, and in Frederick County, that is basically west and south of the city of Frederick. And we're the fastest growing county in the state of Maryland. So we've got a lot facing us, and a lot of those problems / opportunities are going to take some really creative as well as collaborative efforts. And I'm really excited to be a part of that. I've pretty much grown up and lived most of my life in Frederick County. I have been everything from a single mom, utilizing WIC vouchers and daycare vouchers, to then marrying my late husband and partner, who I met in high school, but joined as partners later on after that. And we both were in service-minded careers. He was a dedicated Frederick City police officer and lieutenant, and I worked my career in the hospitality industry in operations sales, and about half of it in human resources. So everything about me has to do with people, and that is truly where my passion is. And unfortunately, I did experience his passing almost 5 years ago now from occupational cardiovascular disease, which thrust my life in a direction that I certainly didn't expect. So now I know what being a solo parent is, which is why I'm doing this call in my car. So just juggling all of that kind of life. I've often said, if you want something solved, give it to a very busy mom, and we will get those problems solved in the world. So that launched me forward when he passed away into a whole bunch of advocacy legislatively at the local, state, and federal levels. And the seat that has been held in my district currently is term limited, and so it was an open seat, and I started investigating that opportunity about 2 years ago, and decided that it was going to be the right time. I'm a full-time student going back to school for psychology, again, people focused, as well as running for this seat. So I am super excited to be here. I'm ready to get to work. I am very, very ingrained in our community here, both from my time in the business community as well as our nonprofit and government entities, and understand that systems thinking and how all of those things work together. We have a lot of major issues facing our county, and I'm super excited to share that info with everybody tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really amazing backgrounds that everyone is bringing to the table here. Okay, Christa Tichy, running for House of Delegates, District 19 in Montgomery County.
Well, hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you for the invitation. Just to echo off everybody, amongst a group of very accomplished women, and I think our walk cards probably are a testament of what we've all achieved, you know, and to put us to the next level of hopefully, you know, winning each of our elections. You know, I just want to think back on how the Forward Party and how David Alspach actually came to one of my fundraisers. I had not really known much about him. And then after that, I applied for endorsement. And I was so impressed how I could connect with their platform and what their, you know, beliefs are in the county, what they're trying to achieve with what my goals are. And just a little bit about me. So, you know, I'm running, also a single mom, because I believe we need a strong voice for working families, folks like ourselves. And as that single mother, a union apprenticeship changed my life. But there are too many families are still falling behind today. And we need to find pathways to the middle class. And we can do that by expanding vocational education, workforce training, and by tackling the rising cost of living, especially with housing, making childcare affordable, along with energy costs that are so high today. My campaign is about making sure that people like myself still feel we have a real shot at the American dream. So let's build a Maryland where opportunity is within reach for all of us. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Christa. All right, up next, Lelia True, running for Montgomery County Council at Large.
Good evening. I'm Lelia True, running for Montgomery County Council at Large. I know the spelling throws people off sometimes, but I'm running because we're at a serious moment. We have families that serve our county, but they can't afford to live here. We have federal workers that have been facing cut after cut. The cost of childcare and utilities keep climbing. And for me, these aren't partisan problems. They're not Democratic or Republican. They're management problems. They're people problems. And I've spent my whole career managing. I am also a combat veteran. I earned the Bronze Star, commanding more than 160 soldiers in Desert Storm. Also, as a corporate exec, I ran budgets north of $190 million and organizations of about 500 people. I also have spent 8 years in the education industry, CFO, CEO of an independent school, which I guided through the pandemic and helped lead them during some pretty tough times, including capital investments. I'm a single mom, and I've never run for a political office before. I care about the people in the state and in my county, and doing what's right to make sure that they have the opportunities that I think all of our families deserve. I'm someone who has delivered continuously in multiple environments. I've managed big budgets and solved tough problems. I'm running to lower costs and make county government work smarter. I'm asking for your support, and I appreciate the support of the Forward Party so that I can help the people in the county. I'm running not to be a Montgomery County council person. I'm running to help Montgomery County. Thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, also shout out to Airborne, Miss Rios, Airborne Air Assault too. Just throw that out there. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. Up next, Paula Bienenfeld, running for Montgomery County Council District 4.
Hi, thanks so much. I just want to echo what everybody else has said about how, the Forward Party has just been really wonderful. And I'm just in awe of everyone's stories that I've heard so far. It's just amazing. It's a really strong group of women and it's really inspiring. So I've lived in Montgomery County for about 30 years. We raised our kids here and they went to the public schools, except for a few years when we moved to Bolivia and we sent our kids to the public schools there, and that was very helpful for them. And unlike me, they are fluent in Spanish.
Wow.
So professionally, I was a historic preservation specialist and an environmental protection specialist. I got my PhD in anthropology, specializing in archaeology. So I'm very familiar with that. And I've always worked in the private sector, usually for federal clients and also some private clients. So I've been a community activist for many years, and I became president of the Montgomery County Civic Federation, working on issues there. And my main concern and my issue here in Montgomery County, and I've been working as an activist many, many years, is government transparency. In particular, for example, if you're in the county, the autocratic planning board, and that goes for the public school system as well as the county council. And so I'm also interested in government transparency, affordability, which everybody's brought up is such an important issue, and fiscal responsibility that we don't see at the moment from the council. And I want to make a change in the county council so that we have some accountability and close looking at our fiscal situation. And one of my goals is to work on bringing high target companies with high paying jobs to Montgomery County. We cannot tax our way out of the financial situation that we're in. So thanks again to the Forward Party and everyone who's working so hard.
Oh, well, thank you for running. All right, let's see. Do we have Dr. Laura Gilchrest back?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, excellent. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself? I know you're running for Prince George's County Council at large, right?
That's right. Hi, everybody. Apologies for the delay. I was having unexpected technical difficulties, but we're here. I'm Dr. Laura Gilchrest. I am running for Prince George's County Council at large. I am also an anthropologist. I do more of the current events in anthropology, so looking at the ways that people interact with the world, and so many of those things are relevant actually to running for county council. I've worked on health systems and governance both in Latin America and here in the United States as a result of the work that I do with my PhD. I'm running as a publicly financed candidate because I firmly believe that people, not money, should be the final decision in our policymaking and in our governance organizations. And so, like many others, I share lots of similar characteristics. My partner died just before my daughter was born, so I was thrust into single motherhood while I was working full time and finishing my PhD. So that was a trial and tribulation, certainly, but we've come a long way, and so I am running on governance and transparency. So good governance, making sure that we have transparency and accountability, and rebuilding trust in the community with our county council, because we have had a long history of sort of special interests running the county council rather than the community interests. And people are really starting to both feel that in a material way, but also it seems to me that based on all of the folks that I've talked to in the community, they've hit their limit. And so I am a professor of human rights and ethics at George Washington University. So I'm fully prepared to bring all of that education and training to bear in policymaking, and also making our processes and and activities more transparent, more community driven, and making sure that we are abiding by the highest ethics and highest integrity in all that we do. Lots more, but let's get to those questions.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I'm a little bit overwhelmed after hearing everyone's bios. Forgive me to say, I'm sorry, we have a bunch of badasses on this call right now. I love it. All right, we're going to jump right into these questions here. The first question is going to be for Paula, Jenn, Alcorn, and Heidi. And it is about bipartisanship and political polarization. Many voters say they are exhausted by hyperpartisanship and are looking for leaders willing to collaborate across political and ideological divides. Can you share an example of an issue where you would be willing to work with people who strongly disagree with you politically, and how would you approach that collaboration? We'll go to Paula first.
Sure. Yeah, I am exhausted too, and I saw that question. I am a Democrat, but for many years I was registered as an independent, and then I realized we don't really have a voice, and I know that's something that the Forward Party is really working on. So I reach out to different organizations all across the political spectrum, and I've been able to work on specific issues. I know a few years ago, or a while ago now, I worked with Republicans, independents, and Democrats so that we could get term limits in Montgomery County. And we were successful doing that. And that went for the county council as well as for the county executive. Another one of our initiatives, which unfortunately did not make it through, was to get rid of the at-large council seats. But in all those efforts, we all worked together very well. We were out there, we were gathering petition signatures, we would meet around kitchen tables. And this was, you know, across the spectrum of, you know, people, conservative, let's just say very conservative Republicans, moderates, and, you know, pretty liberal or left-leaning Democrats, because we all had a certain goal. So that would be my example. But I know when I saw that question, it's so true. I'm just exhausted. Yeah. Good
but
question.
It can't be done.
Yes.
All right, Jenn Alcorn. Your thoughts on this question about working across the aisle, so to speak. Do we have Jenn?
Sorry, I got my screen's a little mixed up. Sorry. Yeah, so agreed, in agreement. I think everybody's tired of it, myself included. And my favorite example I like to give is that my late husband was absolutely not a liberal Democrat like myself. He was a police officer and raised in a conservative household. And I like to think we both brought each other more centrist, and can we much about the Forward Party. So I have worked with every iteration of politicians that signed from federal responder benefits to state and local, and I make it a point to break up. Is that what you said?
Yeah, we're missing a few words here.
Okay. I apologize. Give me 1 second.
It's okay.
Wondering if I can.
Try turning off your camera.
Yeah. Okay. And better?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
All right. Great. Also blowing up over some. I think I make it a point to foster relationships with whatever party the folks that represent our county and my area specifically belong to, because ultimately we are going to have to work together. And one of the things I think I would like to look back to is when I, within 48 hours basically of I'll
Go
just
ahead,
finish my
your
thought.
thought.
Of losing my husband, they said we were going to have health insurance in 2 weeks, and I didn't care who I had to work with to fix that problem. And we, a year and a half later, were able to change policy and have the most progressive death benefits in terms of health care coverage for every employee for the city of Frederick, not just for the first responders. And so that's just sort of how I tackle every problem. It's about how do we get to the solution.
Good.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jen. Heidi, you want to weigh in here?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Everyone's exhausted. And I think that's because we have extremes on either side that are beating the drum and yelling the loudest. I personally don't, I am kind of partisan, but at the same time, I'm not afraid to speak out about what's right. A couple of years ago, I testified in front of the Ways and Means as vice president of the Pasadena Business Association, because there was a proposal for taxes on service-based businesses. So like landscape businesses, marketing businesses, law firms, accounting. So I'm not afraid to speak out against my party when they're not acting in the best interest of the people. We can advocate for our values, but anyone who comes at me with good faith, I'm willing to work with anyone who's working in the best interest of the people.
So true. We have a saying here at Forward that moderate is kind of a dirty word. There's really nothing moderate about advocating for good policies. So we completely understand that. All right, let's move on to our next question about housing affordability and growth. I know this is a very popular topic. We're going to have Christa, Lelia, Laura, and Jenn Alcorn respond here. Across Maryland, rising housing costs are affecting young families, seniors, teachers, public employees, and first-time home buyers. Communities are also debating how to grow while preserving neighborhood character. What specific policies would you support to increase housing affordability in Maryland while balancing infrastructure capacity, environmental concerns, and community input? And we'll go to you first, Christa.
Well, when it comes to affordability, which is one of the biggest challenges I think we all face as a working family. And, I go back right away to when I first came here. I came here in a U-Haul. I drove here in a U-Haul truck with a car seat, and I would drive my older one. I would take him on a bicycle and drop him off at daycare. And I remember I shared an apartment with 3 other housemates, and we were all going to the University of Maryland. And when I think about the fact that we all had to combine together our incomes, right? And what we could do. I was working 2 part-time jobs at 7-Eleven. And then I started working at the daycare because I felt that I would get a reduced pay, fee for working there while my child was there. So I think we need to work on every one of the topics, and I'm going over, but I'll just finish what I'm saying. So every one of those issues presents something. Once, of course, income, what are we making to have to share housing with others, right? What's our stature as far as training? Like what opportunities do we have that I'm working at 7-Eleven, right? And then what about childcare? I think childcare is an investment that we need to make as a county, as a state, on a federal level, so that we can expand and improve our workforce. Because how many single moms am I looking in front of right now? A lot of us. And we'll expand on that later, but that's just a little bit about the housing.
Excellent. Thank you, Christa. Lelia?
So to be specific, really 3 things I'm focused on with housing affordability and growth. 1, I think we need to focus on the people who are serving our community and can't afford to live in it. What I'm proposing is essential worker housing initiative that provides teachers, police, and other critical workers who have 5 years working in our community with low interest loans and minimized down payments. Second, we have to consolidate our tangled permitting process into one portal so we can have a quicker turnaround for our housing, and then making sure that we're really looking at the evidence, shadow studies, street counts, traffic data before we approve building. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Laura?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the things in Prince George's County is that we have a ton of housing stock, but the problem is we don't have accessibility and we don't have the infrastructure to support that housing stock. So often when people are, when the public is resistant to certain kinds of housing, it's not because they don't want different kinds of housing or different levels of income to be in different places. It's because they recognize the congestion, they recognize the difficulty in getting to and from places, and they recognize the character of their community. And so affordability is super critical, because in that both we need wages. I completely agree, Leila, and we need, living wages, and we need to diversify our tax base so that we can support no new residential taxes, reduce taxes for seniors in our vulnerable communities, and a number of other options. But it's a critical issue.
Awesome. Thank you. Jenn Alcorn.
Is sound any better now?
Yes, that's better.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks. So this is a problem that our county is tackling. We've just released a housing study done across the county and our municipalities, and that has resulted in a strategic plan. So there are already sort of steps in place that the county is looking at. And so I'm definitely supporting that initiative, which includes many, many different things. It's going to take, not any one solution. In Frederick, we've got a lot of rural municipalities. Transit is an issue. So infill is, first and foremost because of accessibility, where we need to be making sure we're providing more affordable housing. We've gotten some projects up and successfully done in some of our others, which in District 1 is one of our municipalities in my district in Brunswick. And I lost sort of my train of thought. Streamlining accessory dwelling units is a huge hurdle right now. It does not work for people in our county. And so that's been identified as another process that we need to streamline, make more feasible for people and more advantageous for people, so that young kids who can't buy their own homes maybe have other options, as well as seniors who want to age in place or age with family members, giving more options for those things, as well as for more affordable options for the entire population, and many other things. And I'll give it up now. And I saw the note about 45 seconds when we move forward.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I know everyone has such great ideas. It's a lot to cram into 30 seconds. So I'm not running the timer. Someone else take over that. All right, let's move on to transportation and mobility. This question will be for Jennifer Rios, Paula, Megan, and Christa. Marylanders experience transportation differently depending on geography. From transit access in central Maryland to long commutes and limited options in suburban and rural communities. What should Maryland's transportation priorities be over the next decade? And how would you improve mobility, safety, and reliability for residents in your district or county? And to you, Jennifer Rios.
I would say start with free bus passes for folks that need to go to and from. I think that's easy. That's a simple fix, right? The second one, I think the metro should go up and down, or north and south, east to west. Like, it shouldn't be just only the purple line or one other line. It needs to be where we can get all the way across our counties. We should incentivize people who are buying electric cars and trying to ease the environmental impact. And I think that we need to fix the current infrastructure that we have with our county roads, to include our potholes. I don't know about your counties, but potholes, F you, because they really, really mess up our streets in my car. And I can tell you, when I come off of the Upper Marlboro to get into my house, I dodge 6 of them in this much space. And it is really frustrating. So that's 30 seconds.
Yeah, it was a long winter for sure, and the roads are certainly showing it. All right, Paula, thoughts on this question?
Sure. I think we need to move beyond fixed transit systems to flexible public transit. And I know where we are in Montgomery County, there were some pilot programs. And I think in this day and age, and I know this has happened for years in other places, you should be able to use an app, get on it, and have a van come and pick you up at your location and take you near or to where your destination is. There's no reason that we don't have that. They have this, in a lot of different places. Let's just say that. I also say in terms of commuting, we also need to work the way Virginia did with the VRE, which they just thought of, and it's about 35 years old now, to increasing the MARC train for commuters. We just really need to be able to make it simple and easy. If you want to get people out of their cars, you have to give them a carrot. You have to attract it and, attract them. And we don't really do that, at least in Montgomery County. So if Virginia did it with the VRE, we should be able to do that too and have a really good commuter rail system.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, Megan?
Yeah, thanks, Kayla. So as you mentioned, transportation is going to look drastically different in Wicomico than it is in Baltimore or Montgomery County. We are a very unique area where we're very rural and urban at the same time. So while I'm very excited about the opportunity of partnering with some of our state partners to bring in some true transportation options for us here on the shore, for me at the county, what that's going to look like is investing in safe roads. It's going to mean investing in reliable bridges and regional connectivity. Really, I just want to make sure people can get to work and school and healthcare, because that's where we see a lot of the challenges are. We see a lot of moms struggling to get to school to be able to better their education and build a life for their family. I want to see transportation decisions, honestly, driven by the local needs instead of a one-size-fits-all solution. So I want to see the county invest in, public safety, reduce commuter time. So making sure that we're really doing smart growth opportunities here. So we're doing high density development that allows us to kind of live where we work, and just hopefully overall just kind of strengthen some of the connections between our rural communities and economic opportunity.
Absolutely. Great points there. Okay, Christa?
Well, I have 3 words to say. The answer to is going to be our priorities and, what we can really do about transportation to me is transit, transit, and transit. So we need to build housing and jobs around existing transit investments that we already have, which overlaps with what we were talking about with the affordable housing. Because if we build more housing near existing transit and infrastructure, it's going to cause less need for cars on the road, because people will be able to live and get right on a train and won't always have to have their car parked somewhere. So that's 2 of the things. I think that if we better connect our suburban communities to our closer areas here near the metro, we have to make sure there's means for people that live outside the immediate city area to get to the transit. And a lot of times, and then lastly, I'm just going to say, I think we need to take a look at our safety and address that, especially in certain areas in Montgomery County, like Georgia Avenue, Veers Mill, and the University Boulevard corridor. Thank you.
Thank you, Christa. All right, the next question is about environment and climate resilience. And we will go to Heidi, Laura, and Megan for this one. Maryland faces growing risks from flooding, heat, stormwater impacts, Chesapeake Bay degradation, and aging infrastructure. What are the most important environmental or climate resilience investments Maryland should make in the next 5 years? Heidi?
So first of all, I think we need to diversify our energy sources. I know there's a lot of criticism about green policies, but we need to find a way to do so in a way that's not burdensome to our ratepayers, and hold our energy companies accountable. PG&E is making record profits. That's unacceptable. We need to continue to invest in Bay, and make sure our environmental regulations are laudable, but also that we're not overburdening our homeowners. I hear a lot about how there's overregulation at the county level and the state level. So we need to make sure that implementation of environmental burdens or environmental policies aren't duplicative in a way that's burdensome to businesses and homeowners. I agree, Dr. Rios, investing in our communities, but making sure that we're also working with our counties on land use policies so that we don't overdevelop, not just overdevelop our communities, but overdevelop our waterfronts. I live on a peninsula, I can tell you.
Excellent, thank you. Laura?
So we have to protect our water. We have to protect, we're already in a global water crisis. And that affects us too. We're not excluded from the global, we are part of it. And the Potomac right now is we are already facing drought conditions. And so I know that in our county, they've already started telling us to like limit showers to 5 minutes, only, don't wash your cars by hand, go to car washes that use, that reuse the water, that recycle the water, all of which are great. But in the grand scheme of things, we also have to make sure that we are not introducing development like new data centers that are going to gobble up all of our resources, regardless of whether we make them pay for the energy they use, because they will drain our resources. And so that, and making sure that we're actually sticking to our climate plan. In Prince George's County, we have a climate action plan. It has been very lackadaisically implemented thus far. And there's no reason why we can't already be investing in green resources and making sure that we have heat safety zones. We're going to have a really hot summer, and talking to our experts about what we can do right now that will both help us in the acute, but also in the long term.
Excellent. Thank you, Laura. Last answer on this question, Megan.
Perfect. Thank you, Kayla. So I will say that on the Eastern Shore, climate resilience conversations aren't theoretical for us already. We're already experiencing the impacts of climate change. Our zip codes are some of the first that we're experiencing those impacts. Perfect example in Dorchester County, we're already seeing saltwater intrusion impact our farmers. Here in Wicomico County as well, we see this in Worcester County with severe flooding impacting Ocean City on a regular basis. So really what we need at the county level, and things that I can do as someone who's running for local office, is making sure that we investments in just basic stormwater infrastructure. That basic infrastructure is routinely delayed by most of our county officials on a regular basis. Flood mitigation and shoreline protections as well. Some of that long-term planning. I come from a background where I do strategic long-term planning on infrastructure needs. We need to bring those voices to the county level because it is those decisions locally that are going to have some of the most detrimental impacts if we're not preparing for climate change today.
Absolutely. And I know when you have a lot of watermen in your community, it impacts the economy. It's a big issue. So thank you for sharing your thoughts there. Alrighty, moving on to community safety and justice. This question will be for Laura, Paula, and Jennifer Rios. Residents want communities that are both safe and fair, but debates continue around policing, prevention programs, mental health services, and criminal justice reform. What does an effective and balanced approach to public safety look like in Maryland today? Laura?
So I'll speak for Prince George's County. Across Maryland, I think that we definitely have we have a substantial amount of research that tells us that when people know that they have food and that they have income, crime goes way down. In Prince George's County, we've actually experienced a record decline, like a 40-year decline in violent crime. We have seen an uptick in petty crimes, but that is almost always in direct proportion to the level of political unrest. So we have a lot of strife right now, and people are very worried about their futures, or they're scared to work out in the light of day. And so they're engaging in a lot of gray or shadow market activities that tend to be criminalized. And people are afraid and they act on that fear, or they are deeply struggling with poverty that can be alleviated, right? It's not just a natural occurring thing. The relationship to mental health too, I think is something that I think we need to talk about in terms of healthcare, because I don't want to support the narrative that people who are mentally ill commit crimes. I think that a criminalized approach to people experiencing mental illness is part of what results in some of the highest rates of police-involved fatalities when they make those calls. And so separating those two in terms of how we address them, I think is really important as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Paula?
Sure. So I would say an effective and balanced idea means that we have to support our police and first responders, but at the same time realize that they're encountering people, as Laura mentioned or referred to, people with mental health issues as well. And so we need to support that need. And I think we need more finances and more financial support for that in Montgomery County, at least. I can't speak to the state of Maryland, but I also think that we need to realize that some communities are fearful for good reason of the police and police interaction. And so I know in Montgomery County, it's something that's people are concerned about and worried about, and we have to be very sensitive about that reality.
Excellent. Thank you, Paula. Jennifer Rios, thoughts on this question?
Yes, absolutely. As the president of my HOA here in Upper Marlboro District 6 in Prince George's County, I have worked really hard to engage with the police officers, the state's attorney's office, the sheriff's department's office, so that we could actually bring them into our neighborhood and not on a 911 emergency. We are trying to rebuild that trust. We are trying to get people educated. I produce a newsletter that comes to my HOA and explaining this is what a sheriff's department is for, police officer, the state's attorney. This is how the teenagers are prosecuted. I think education folds into a big piece of not understanding what each office does and how they are prosecuted accordingly. I think engaging newsletters, transparency, accountability is a major factor. I think mental health is more for me of an approach of mental fitness so that we could be proactive versus reactive. And I think we need to improve our access to those type of services here in our county, and also work with the HOAs throughout Prince George's County and the communities that exist to start building back those relationships and being transparent.
Awesome. Thank you. Jenn Alcorn, it looks like you want to weigh in on this question. As a reminder, every candidate has a virtual ticket and can either buy an extra 30, I don't know if we're changing that to 45 seconds on any given question, or weigh in on a question that they may not have been called on. Go ahead, Jenn.
Awesome. Thanks. So this is something that's near and dear to my heart, obviously, because of my late husband, but that was also where I wanted to take my career in terms of mental health support for first responders and their families, as well as behavioral health and wellness programs for those agencies. And mental health care is healthcare. And I agree that's a piece of it. Community policing is something that the Frederick City Police has been really honing, being successful over the last couple of decades. Have some incredible leadership, and I think they're a model for other agencies to look at. We've a crisis call has gone through some transition, is now a health association, so community wide, needs to be expanded more, so it's 24/7, but it's a start, and it has already made a incredible difference across the county, having a mental health professional, fire rescue, and a police officer all coming in a crisis car to handle a situation versus, two police officers who may or may not be equipped for a situation that doesn't necessarily need law enforcement. I also would throw in that I think, back to the education piece that Dr. Rios mentioned, we have a Citizens Police Academy with that same department, and I think it could only benefit to have more of those and include more people in them. The more people that have those relationships, that understand how things work, just helps everybody. I can't say the same for our sheriff's office, and that's something that I want to work on once I get in office. And we do have a sheriff getting elected as well here, and the outcome of that election will determine sort of next steps. And we're kind of on the tipping point of, potentially county police force and things like that are in the conversation now.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Our next question is about economic opportunity and cost of living. I know we've kind of touched on this on a few other different topics, but this question will go to Megan, Jenn Alcorn, Jennifer Rios, and Heidi. Maryland has a highly educated workforce and strong economic assets, yet many residents still struggle with rising costs for childcare, healthcare, utilities, and everyday necessities. What policies would you prioritize to improve economic opportunity and reduce cost of living pressures for Maryland families? Megan?
Thanks, Kayla. So yeah, affordability is something that I'm hearing at the doors every single day. Families are struggling with childcare costs, housing costs, utility bills, healthcare expenses. Groceries are getting more expensive each day. And I believe that honestly, as leaders in our community, we really need to start recognizing that these issues are interconnected. To talk about economic opportunity is to talk about childcare access. It's to talk about workforce development and career readiness programs. It's to talk about affordable housing. And it's to talk about energy policy. All of these should be interconnected in how our leaders are deciding policies to move our communities forward. In Wicomico, we were actually able to bring forth a recommendation to our council. Last year, we had the state government pass a bill that provided a property tax credit for childcare facilities, just to ease some of the burden that some of our childcare facilities were facing. In Wicomico, 85% of our childcare facilities are just mom and pop businesses, people opening up their living rooms to families. We wanted to bring this opportunity forward to have a chance to, and I know, Kayla, I might be able to extend my time with my little ticket, and I'll do that right now, to talk about how we were able to bring a solution. So right now, we know this was literally last month. We sat down with our county council, brought them forward a solution. We partnered with a couple of our local organizations to talk about some of the challenges women in our family and women in our community are facing. We actually had a great data study that we were able to show our council and say, hey, the data is showing that we are going to continue seeing a drop in affordable childcare. And it's going to become a crisis. And before it gets to a crisis, we need to discuss these policies now. And we put forth a number of policy proposals for them. And unfortunately, because our county council currently is really out of touch with the everyday person, they didn't see the value in it. And in fact, I had a council president come to me at the end of the presentation and say, you know, in the past, we really haven't prioritized social programming, which to me was extremely frustrating, because to me, that downplays the importance of what childcare, affordable childcare specifically, does for Wicomico residents. And my retort back was, I can tell, because I can see how it is impacting our residents today.
Wow. All right. Jenn Alcorn.
Kudos to you, Megan. I keep fighting the good fight. So similarly, we had a credit for in-home daycare, childcare, and we recently increased that so that we can support households that want to provide childcare in their home and make it advantageous and help also support their household. So we've expanded that program, and I definitely support that. Sorry, completely lost my train of thought.
Anything else that you'd like to add about how to improve economic opportunity and reduce cost of living?
So I'm going to leave it at that for now.
Okay. Awesome. Jennifer Rios.
I would say economic development is very important to bring here in Prince George's County. We need to help alleviate some of the tax burdens on our residents. But in order to do that, I think there's multiple things. We talked about public safety. We talked about the infrastructure of the roads and public services, right? We have to have a place for our children to be cared for in order for all the adults to be able to go back and work in the county, to be able to give back and pay those taxes back to the states. So I think it's a big, I would say, like, it's in parallel, all of these. There's not one priority that's higher than the other. I think they're all just about stacking up right amongst each other. And I think that smart policies and assistance can help our residents get back to work. I mean, a lot of you have talked about being single mothers. I have done that. I've done a ton of single mothering myself. But you know what? We're here and we're still continuing to pursue our careers. We're still running for office and we're still making it happen. However, we shouldn't have to choose between childcare and getting to work or being able to pay our rent. It's not affordable. And I will stop. My time is in.
Thank you. Last response on this question goes to Heidi.
I think about the priorities in our General Assembly. Obviously we need to invest in education. Education is the key to opportunities, whether that's trade education, whether that's higher education, whatever education that looks like. Investing in our education is key, but we also need to remember, I don't know who said it, but we have a lot of priorities and we can't keep funding those priorities on the back of our working families. So we need to remember that businesses bring opportunities. They bring better paying jobs. We know that Maryland consistently ranks in the lower half of the nation for business friendliness. As we get more jobs, hopefully that'll help our cost of living. I look to states like New Mexico and Vermont that are leading the way in public-private partnerships when it comes to childcare. And I want to see solutions like that really lower the cost. A lot of the cost of childcare is a lot of the regulatory burdens and insurance costs. I have clients who are childcare providers. So we kind of have to look at it from both angles as well.
Great point. Thank you. All righty. Our next question is about education and workforce readiness. This question will be for Christa, Lelia, Heidi, and Jenn Alcorn. Maryland's education system faces challenges involving funding disparities, teacher retention, student mental health, and preparation for modern careers. How should Maryland evolve its education and workforce development systems to better prepare students and workers for the future economy? Christa.
Okay, I'm going to take my ticket right now, and if I go a little bit over, but this is my area of specialty.
Go for it.
As the first female master union electrician in the state of Maryland, I came about by raising 2 children through an apprenticeship program that changed my life. I bought my first home. I was able to go back and get all my master licenses. I went back and got my college degrees, working on a master's now, and started a small business that I named after myself and my 2 sons when I didn't have childcare. So I used the neighbors to help me while I was working. And I would do electrical work for them in trade-off with the childcare. We have to invest. First of all, we got to make sure we fully implement our blueprint for Maryland. We need to include trade programs. They are one of the most futuristic ideals that we need to cultivate and to mold for the jobs for tomorrow. I'm going to take my ticket. We need to expand the construction trade, in these CTE programs and the pre-apprenticeship programs at the high school level that can roll over into the 2-year college and from there into a university level. And we need to strengthen the partnerships, not only with the high schools, but also with small business and the employers and unions. And if we bring everyone together, we can use these programs now to help folks get full 4-year college degrees in engineering. We can have the best workforce out there that can actually, where we can go to school, get the jobs, work the construction, and then keep everything in-house, which is what I'd really like to see. But where we both used to look at trade programs as something less than, we now can give them the credits that they deserve. And these are the top paying jobs in the country. When you look and say, what's the most opportunity now for a job? It's nursing, nurse practitioner, and it's electricians.
So true.
And plumbing.
Let's say trades. It depends where you look up, but let's just say.
Absolutely. Great points there. All right, Lelia, we'll go to you on this question.
So while I do definitely agree that the trades are definitely areas that we need to prepare our students for, my focus is earlier, because what I do believe where we're struggling is in the earlier grades with, I'm going to talk about pre-K through 2nd grade. That is the foundation that we need to build with for our children, that's going to make them be able to do anything in the future, whether it's trades, whether it's college education, whether it's being aeronautical engineers. My priority is going to be on early education to make sure that those teachers have the support that they need in the classrooms to meet the needs of the children in the classrooms. That's particularly important in our disadvantaged neighborhoods, because if we do not give them the best early start that we can give a child, they will continue to fall behind. You don't catch up if you're behind after 2nd grade. And it's not in reading and writing that is the critical part. It's early childhood development, and we need to start listening to the early childhood development experts and to what we're bringing to those 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds.
Awesome. Thank you, Lelia. Heidi, we'll go to you.
I 100% agree with Christa, and the implementation of the blueprint must be prioritized as we work towards full funding. But I also believe that education policy continues to evolve and progress should be based on new findings and research. You know, we're learning a lot about education and even literacy education. To Leila's point about early childhood literacy and the programs that the state has been using are not effective. Why? Because there's so much for-profit in education policy. Surprise, surprise. So we need to be willing to consider new evidence and best practices as they're brought forward to ensure that we're not trapped in assumptions of what and what doesn't work. I fully believe in investing in public education from universal pre-K all the way up to free public higher education and trade education.
Awesome. Thank you, Heidi. Jenn Alcorn, our last response on this question.
Awesome. I second all of those priorities from universal pre-K, also through career and technology education and beyond. I have my oldest and his spouse both went through our career and technology center here in our county, work in our county, can't afford to live in our county. So I know firsthand, you know, what that scenario looks like as well. And so if we don't continue to create the opportunities and work on affordability, it's just another example of how all these pieces work together. I did want to also touch on, goodness gracious, really losing my thought. This has been a long day. I'm sorry, guys. It was, as far as CTC education, that's one of my top priorities. We are turning away 700 to 1,000 kids every single year in Frederick County because we don't have the capacity. Partnerships like the IBEW that is doing a ton in terms of electrical trades, because we do have data center development going on in our county. It's already here, already approved. So my philosophy in terms of the data center situation, at least in Frederick County, is that it's here. It's about how are we managing that? How are we regulating that? And how are we most benefiting from it? They've invested a ton in the schools and in the programs, both at high school and post high school education, to bring in kids that are, like we said, making a very good living with very good benefits. And right now they're actually able to work here and not go down the road to DC and to the higher paying jobs. So continuing those partnerships and opportunities is really what it's all about, and supporting that too.
Absolutely. All right. Our next question is about public trust in government. Voters across the political spectrum often express frustration that government feels inaccessible, overly partisan, or unresponsive to everyday concerns. This question will go to Lelia, Paula, Jennifer, Rios, and Megan. And the question is, what would you do to improve public trust, transparency, and accountability in government decision-making? I know this is a big topic. Lelia, we'll go to you first.
So this is exactly why I'm running. You know, one of the things that struck me to maybe get in the race was I was talking to an 18-year-old. I was coaching a rugby team. And this 18-year-old, I was asking him, okay, you know, you got to vote. And his answer was, there's no use in voting. You know, everybody is corrupt. And I was shocked at that. And I asked him, I said, well, who do you even know who's running? And of course, he knew no one. And that's even worse, because the whole public trust, transparency, accountability, the fact that he's not even willing to give people a chance is very scary to me. And I know people are exhausted by government and they feel the partisanship and distance, but I am in the position to put the data ahead and the trade-offs ahead for every vote. And I need to do that as an individual. And we're only going to rebuild trust by making sure that we are electing the people to government that we can trust. And that's why I'm participating.
Absolutely. So true. All right, we'll go to Paula.
Sure. This is a huge issue for me and something I've worked on as an activist for years and years and years. So I would just say, first of all, when I'm elected, I will make my visitor logs public and I will make my work calendar public. And I've asked our council members for years to do that, and no one will do it. But I think it's critical that people know what's going on with the government. I would work to stop the no bid contracts that we have in Montgomery County that just roll along mindlessly for years and years and years with no oversight and no accountability. I mean, there is a way to get public trust back in government. And, I think we can do it. I would also say in particular, we're just being slammed by plans coming from the planning department here over and over and over again, that by the time the public finds out about it, it's too late. It's too late to do anything about. And so I think it's really critical to go to the planning department, have some oversight, because the county council appoints the planning board members, and make sure that as soon as something begins, that the public knows about it and is well informed. I don't know if I've used up all my time or not. If I have, I could go on for a while. But
Use your ticket.
there you go.
That's excellent. All right.
I think I said it all, but thank you.
You got it.
All right. Jennifer Rios.
I, like the others have said, I really am big on transparency. I would create dashboards that are public facing. So for instance, if there is accountability for, let's say, the budget, like it needs to show where every line item is. I think full transparency. Audits need to be coming back. We need an inspector to go in and visit our books, a third party, not a friend of, not a homie, not a sorority, not a fraternity. I mean, someone who is independent from the government. I think that we need to have newsletters. I believe in having town halls. I believe in making sure that those are recorded on record and public once they are done, with meeting minutes attached for people to go back and see those. I think that we should have the newsletters, like I said, sent out with updates of what's going on in the community, not when the parties are, but like, hey, we filled 500 potholes. Check out the link on the public facing out agency dashboards on public websites in order to see it. I'm going to use my card. Please and thank you. 45 seconds. And I would say that having those dashboards to see, like, how are we doing it? If there are 17 issues and these are the issues, you can click on it and see the issues and see the process. And it's full transparency, because the people will be able to get updates on where their issue is and be able to have that full transparency going back and forth with the government. We're not left on red. We don't get the return phone calls. You will get a message and you will see the pipeline and how it gets pushed across the board to complete it. I think making sure that we rebuild that trust in our community with the local politicians, and I think that's part of the way that we can do it. And that's just a tip. I think that's
Awesome. A lot of great ideas in there. Thank you. All right. Last response on this question goes to Megan.
Thanks, Kayla. I love that energy because I feel the exact same way. Look, I think the reason why we're all here supporting the Forward Party is because we believe in visibility, accessibility, and accountability. And we feel like at every stage of government, we are not seeing that from our current elected officials. So personally, for the county council level, I have committed to regular town halls, publicly posted community office hours, regular social media updates on council meetings and policy updates, direct communication with residents, which sounds like such a low bar. But when I think about the fact that it's currently not happening in Wicomico County, that drives me insane to know that our residents don't know how to get a hold of their current electeds. We shouldn't just hear from our electeds during an election cycle. I'm out there every single day, regardless of whether it's an election year or not. I've built that trust with my community. I have a momentum behind this campaign because we've been there way before we ever decided to run for office. I believe that trust is built when people know that their voices matter and they're going to see the feedback influence in the decisions made by council. So that's going to be my promise to my residents here, is just, you're going to be seeing a lot more of me if I'm elected, out and about, making sure that you have direct communication with me.
Awesome. Love that. All right. Our next question is about local versus state control. And we will call on Laura, Christa, and Lelia for this one. Maryland often sees tension between state level policymaking and local government authority on issues such as education, zoning, transportation, and public health. Where do you believe the balance should lie between state leadership and local control, and how would that philosophy shape your decisions in office? Laura?
All right. So in Prince George's County, the county executive and the county council have a lot of power to make decisions regarding infrastructure, make decisions regarding planning. But there are other things, and we don't get to make, in those positions on the council, we don't get to influence education policy or education decisions. However, the state and the county executive do get to weigh in on what our school board is doing. And I really think that we need our school board to have autonomy and have more of a direct line to developing and working on our curriculum, and working with the state at the county council level with our state delegates is something that's really critical, and something that I think our council members need to be doing more of, so that we can work in tandem, especially as sometimes our budgets, or if we're talking about infrastructure, sometimes those things are going to have to work in tandem. And so more cooperation, more collaboration, but also making sure that we're providing checks and balances on each other, I think is really critical.
Absolutely. Thank you. Christa, thoughts?
Okay, so I believe I'm pretty to the point on this one. I think the approach should be, for me, more pragmatic and not so ideological. For me, local control is what should be utilized whenever possible. And I think that on a state level, leadership on issues should take place for housing and for education. Mandates whenever and where needed, especially on education and housing. So on a state level, I don't know if but there's constantly, people will not be sure in the community what questions to ask, whether it's council level or state level. And for the most part, I'm constantly being asked council members, which is the MCPS and budget, which I have nothing really to do with the budget other than approving the implementation for the accountability and the implementation board and the blueprint for Maryland. Now we can afford, approve funding and write bills for legislation on a state level, but we don't really have anything to do with allotting the different areas for funds on MCPS. But with that being said, there needs to be a strong relationship with the county council, and with the state delegation, because I believe there must be strong communication so that we both are on the same agenda and we're both working together for the same goal. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Lelia.
Absolutely, I believe that she is correct. We need to be able to work together. I'm not going to approach this as a turf war, because residents don't care which level of government solve their problems. They just want it solved. And we're here to work for our residents. I am in District 1 from a Montgomery County Council perspective, and I'm in District 15 from a state perspective. And I've spoken with several of my state representatives, and we're looking together for solutions, not control. Mm-hmm. We're part of a county, a state, and a country, and a world community. And I've served my country, and I think the best way for me to continue to serve my country is to work locally and take care of the people that are electing me. And that's what I expect both the state and the local to do.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. For our last question, we are going to give everyone a chance to chime in here. We'll go in alphabetical order by last name. And this question is about the vision for Maryland's future. Maryland is economically strong in many ways, but residents still express concerns about affordability, civic division, infrastructure, and long-term competitiveness. If your community and Maryland as a whole were truly thriving 10 years from now, what would that look like? What would look different? And what leadership choices would help us get there? All right. First up, alphabetically, should be Jenn Alcorn.
Thank you all again for hosting. And so if Maryland as a whole were thriving 10 years from now, I think every single one of our counties, from Western Maryland to the Eastern Shore would be thriving. We would have opportunities. We would have businesses thriving, not just residents, so that there's opportunities here within our state. And I think leadership choices to get us there, we've got to make some really, really fiscally hard decisions, and tax. Maryland does a lot of things really, really well, but we don't that we can't afford, or businesses can afford to stay. I forget who that mentioned tax services, like the. Be able to speak out. And I think that we have to continue to do that so that we see that vision come true, and we've got people thriving here, and we're taking care of each other.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Next, Paula.
Sure, this is a fun question. So I was thinking about a thriving Montgomery County in 10 years. We would have more public art. We would have beautiful parks. We would have a world education system that we're still striving for. We would have more high target companies with high paying jobs to build out our tax base so that we can build and create the things that make living here so wonderful. And talent is attracted to talent. So that's what we have to do. We have to find the kernel of that to start really building out the economy here. I would like to see a more politically diverse legislature made possible with open primaries and special elections instead of appointments made by political insiders. So thanks for that question. Pretty fun.
I love it. Great response. Okay. Next, Laura.
I love this. One of the things that I do in my classrooms is make sure that instead of just being social scientists that complain about all the problems in the world, we're actually thinking about the solutions and how to solve them. And that requires some practice envisioning and imagining what it could look like and then how we make the steps to get there. And so when I imagine a thriving Prince George's County, I know that people have access to healthcare. Everyone has access to healthcare, regardless of who they are, where they live, how much money they make, what their status is, etc. We have functioning, reliable, accessible public transportation. We have inclusive communities that include our disabled and elderly communities. We have really a community that is a series of a bunch of villages that can come together, but also thrive right where they are if they need to. Preservation and investment in our green spaces and park infrastructure, also making sure that those are accessible and thriving. And like Paula, that we have open primaries, that we have ranked choice voting, and that we have a much more diverse legislature and more clear special election processes rather than appointments.
Excellent. Thank you, Laura. All right, next up, Megan.
Thank you. So I guess, what do I think about Wicomico County in 10 years? What would I like that to look like? I want to see a community where our young people can afford to stay and actually build a future here. I want families to not be forced to choose between childcare and paying the electric bill, where our schools actually have the resources they need and our roads and infrastructure are actually planned for growth. And our first responders actually have the support they deserve because they have union representation. I want our residents to feel more connected to our local government, not just during an election year like this season, but every day. People should know that their voices matter and that they're going to have a seat at the table regardless. So to me, it's not going to be measured by headlines or council votes. I'm going to measure this by making sure my residents feel like life is getting easier for them, that when they are going down the highway, that the roads are a little bit smoother for them, that they have a better time getting a hold of their elected official on a regular basis. Whether they feel like their community's actually gotten stronger than when we first found it. So that's kind of hopefully the Wicomico I'm fighting for. And what we're focused on right now is just putting people over politics. So that's what we're hoping to see in 10 years.
Awesome. Thank you. Jennifer Rios.
All right, so I don't know how much more we can add to what all these amazing ladies said, but I will continue on the path that we have because I think everybody sees the vision for Maryland, for our counties, and they are all lining up with where we need to be in 10 years. I would just add, services for veterans and making sure that we can take care of our veterans in our own yard, and making sure that they don't have to go like I do to Washington, D.C. just to get my health care done as a 100% service disabled veteran. Our seniors, taking care of, making sure they can age in place and making sure they have services that go to them. The youth, mental health services, creating an application for youth to know what events are going on all summer and all year long, where they can go for free, where they can get internships, where they can do business with become an entrepreneur, get them the needs to their phones. That's where they're at all the time on their phone. Open, the budget, making sure that the community is engaged and informed of the budget. No more like you, Dr. Gilchrest, about appointments. So over appointments, making that public and open, the voting thing, just like the ranked choice voting, the open, the roads. I mean, just a better overall for every person, every resident, no matter the party affiliation, no matter the background, no matter how much money you make, that you can still be here and thrive and know that the community and the people that you have in office are going to support you no matter what you're going through in your personal life. You have somewhere to go and you have help. That's what I want for us.
Amazing. Thank you. All right. Heidi, I think is next.
So I like to say that good policy changes lives. So I have a vision where good policy is making our lives better and easier. That we're investing fully in our education, that kids, no matter how they learn, my son is autistic, and I can tell you as a special ed parent, like the playing field is not level. I want to see a level playing field for all of our students across the state, regardless of where they live and regardless of their learning abilities. I want an environment where small businesses can thrive, where they can find it easy to operate with our government for economic growth and success, making sure that businesses and families want to stay in Maryland. We're seeing a lot of people kind of flee the state because it's unaffordable, and I think we really need to just make it an environment where people and businesses want to stay, grow, and thrive.
Awesome. Thank you. Christa.
Well, first off, I want Maryland to be a place where working families can actually see a path to the middle class. Like, people come here because they know if I come to Maryland, I've got a future. I can end up raising a family. I'm going to be content with the residence that I live in. I might buy that first home or that first townhome, and I'm going to have that car that I'm not going to worry about if it's going to break down going over the Bay Bridge when I take my kids on their first vacation. But that in overall, everything is going to be affordable, and that we can rely on an energy with more than one supplier who is going to dictate our bills every month, so that we have opportunities driven by competition. I want to see that. And I also want the blueprint to be a success for everything that it takes place and that overlooks. Early childcare, that we invest in it correctly, and Lelia really hit on that, and for the workforce pathways. Because like we said, if we don't invest at the front end, we're going to lose out on the back end, because if we don't have that early childcare investment, these are the young folks that are dropping out of high school. These are the ones that have extensive absenteeism, and then it's harder for them to be successful in the workforce. So that's the Maryland that I see, where everybody wants to say, where do you live? And I say, oh, you live in Maryland? Oh my gosh, I want to live there too. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Christa. All right. Last but certainly not least, Lelia.
So just to echo a lot of things, we would not have your reputation for being business unfriendly. There would not be huge disparities in our communities, in our economies, in education, and safety. We would have excellent universal child care. Now, in terms of the leadership choices to help us get there, we've got to neutralize things like Citizens United, so the money is not driving what's happening in our community. We also have to pick leaders like us to be in government. Getting there takes leaders who put problem solving ahead of party, not left, not right, forward. People who can really make honest trade-offs instead of easy promises to the community. That's what I would like to see 10 years from now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, that concludes our questions for the panel portion. Ladies, I just want to say the future that you are describing, I can see it. I believe that every woman on this call is fully capable of delivering on that. And I just want the voters in all of your districts to deliver you so that you can bring these solutions to fruition. I oftentimes my team laughs at me because I'll use the term, this sounds like a job for a woman. I think, the defeatism and believing that some of these problems that our communities and our state and our country face, I think women have a much different perspective, because everyone on this call, my goodness, you all have such amazing backgrounds, and you are capable of juggling a million things at once and actually delivering results. And I think that we need much more female leadership in every office. So thank you so much for putting your names on the ballot. I know it is not easy to run a campaign and still work full time and take care of your families and do everything else that life throws at you. So thank you so much for your service in that respect. To all of the veterans on this call, thank you for all of your service. I mean, seriously, I mean it. This is a group of real badasses. And I am honored to have been a part of this discussion. Thank you. PJ, you want to wrap things up?
Yeah. Great. I'm totally blown away. Amazing stuff, guys. Like we've seen the interviews that you guys did with our teams as you kind of work with our groups as we went through the endorsement process. But to see this group come together tonight, to feed off each other's amazing, awesome energy, great ideas. There is so much I think Maryland can do with this type of leadership at the helm. So we are so proud as an organization to be endorsing you all. In the last several weeks here, we want to do everything within our power to help funnel support our team towards your campaigns. So please reach out as you guys need anything over the next several weeks. We want to be here to help support you guys. The last final things of the night, I know we're right at our time, and I think we did a great thing of switching to 45 seconds instead of 30 seconds, which was a little aggressive. I do have like one or two last slides that we just want to throw up for everybody. And we know everybody's busy, so if we'll see who has a few extra minutes to stay on if there are any final questions. But if people have to peel off, we know how back to back everybody is these days. So let's just do a quick share of these last couple slides. Just so everybody knows, these QR codes go to our Maryland Forward Party website. Each candidate has their own dedicated page there that links directly to their candidate page as well. And we are encouraging that everybody go to their websites, the campaign websites at the end of the day, not just our websites. Check out these candidates. They're looking for volunteers. They're looking for final push and fundraising efforts. It's a hard couple of weeks that are left here until the primary, and the primary is where we have to leave it all on the line. Please jump out and help support these candidates as you're able to. I'll leave this on just for one more second. Please take snippets of this. We'll distribute this out to everybody afterwards as well and make sure everybody can connect.
Okay.
I also wanted to, Caroline and Wileen are on. I just wanted to give you guys a quick second too to talk a little bit about the bigger scale here. Beyond Maryland, our national team and our women's committee, community committee.
Thanks, PJ. I am so honored that Wileen and I were asked to sit in on this incredible session. I am so passionate about helping women get elected, and I just feel so empowered and so fired up after this. I'm super thrilled for all of you. We would be remiss if we did not personally invite you to come and join us over on the National Women's Committee. So we meet monthly and we share about different topics. Our next meeting, we're going to have our very own Lindsay Drath come and speak to us. But we have an executive team that we are actively growing. So obviously after your elections, maybe you'll be too busy, but if you ever happen to want to join the executive team, it is open, it is growing, and we definitely need strong women just like you to come and join us. And we have a mission that we are working towards actively to make sure that we have parity at all levels of government. And so that is our mission statement. And so we are working towards that. Us to come along.
Hello. Just want to say you all were great, and I wish you all the best. And I hope that you could be a part of our lean-in circle for the Northeastern Women's Committee. We're trying to promote women to run for office and people who are in political office to be mentors and help people with resources for their campaigns and their office holders. So once that's up the ground, we hope you would be a part of that too. Thank you, and all the best to you. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Wiley. Final note here is that locally in Maryland, we are now launching our statewide Women's Forward Community Group. This is intended to be ultimately a statewide brainstorming advocacy team where we want to bring people together, talk about relevant issues, rally around candidates who align with these core needs and values for our different communities. This will be one of 6 communities that we start right away from the beginning. This is going to be coming along with our Black voters community group, Latino Hispanic community group, seniors, veterans, and young voters as well. So please check look if anybody's interested in learning more about this. The email here will connect you with those team members, and we'll be in touch soon. With that, I will just go back here, and I want to take one more moment to thank all of our candidates for tonight. Please reach out as you guys need anything over the next several weeks, and thank you for your time tonight. It was great hearing from everybody. I will go ahead and stop the recording, and for anybody who has time, we'll stick around for maybe another 10 minutes or so and take any final questions. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good luck.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for putting this together. We appreciate you all.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. This is really, really wonderful. It's great to know that we're all sort of working towards the same thing. And when we all get elected, we can all help each other. So that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like I've made some friends. All right. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you again for